And I run a radio program that I've modeled this with Senator Roblin every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And our show reaches 5,000 people without any sponsorship. And it's really great that over 75% of our viewership isn't even during the live program, but the evening and the next day, people are able to get the key information that this program has been putting out there. So it's really great.
Well, I think that one of the silver linings in this year has been breaking down barriers to being able to be included in conversations and to be able to schedule our lives the way we need to. Because like you said, most people watch afterwards. And if they've got a meeting, if they've got work, then they can still be included. That's important.
And the other dynamic, which I hope we'll see, is that the younger generation that is middle schoolers have never not been connected. This may be another way to engage that audience that seems to always be connected.
That's true. They know these tools better than we do, and they might see opportunities to expand outreach and connection. But on the other hand, a lot of our young people aren't that skilled on the face-to-face interactions and some of the more in-depth conversations. Some of them are, but I think that the quick Twitter in, out, chat, I'm gone sort of interaction is one thing, but we need to be able to sit down and have, more in-depth conversations and build relationships. And that's more either in person or longer conversations. And definitely don't want to do those on Facebook.
Yeah, in person, we're still humans, and we all got where we got with authentic face-to-face relationships. It wasn't just digital. So I'm going to start our program off here. Everybody, welcome to the October 24th, 2020 Coffee with Cathy, Mayor Cathy Clark. We have with us also today, checking in from Keizer Fire District, Betty Hart. Welcome, Betty. And also Colleen Bush with our wonderful Chariots transportation representative here in Keizer. Thank you all for joining us. And Cathy, take it away.
Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us on this fall morning. Most of you hopefully have heard that this is going to be first frost this weekend. So if you have plants that need taken care of, if you got spigots and so forth, now is that time to get out there and take a look at things secured for our first frost. In addition, but take a look at your storm drains as we get into the fall season and we have leaf fall. Please get out there with a rake, pull those leaves off and get them into your green can. It really helps our city with the contractor we have who does the street sweeping to make sure that we get it even cleaner than to pile it on and make it harder where they have to do 2 or 3 passes to get all the leaves up. So if we all get our leaves into the green can, we're going to have cleaner storm drains. The river's happier, the fish are happier, and you're happier because your street doesn't flood. So it's a win all the way around. Just a little bit of an update for people who haven't voted yet. There's a ballot box right outside of City Hall. No stamp, no line. Well, there has been some lines because it's been very, very busy, which is awesome. Just drop in your ballot, make sure it's signed on the back, but it's open 24/7 between now and 8 o'clock on election night. So get out there, get that ballot filled out and vote. Want to also remind people that we are still working on helping our neighbors in the canyon. The Santiam Canyon fire recovery is well underway. We have contractors who have come together on doing a build for the city of Detroit. They have also come together with a contractors coalition so that as families are ready to rebuild, they know who to call. People who are local, people who have been here, people who are reputable and are going to finish the job and do it right because it's for our neighbors. I want to thank all of the people that have been so incredible with the response to our canyon neighbors. The churches like the Church of Christ, the United Way has been a magnificent, Union Gospel Mission, Salvation Army, Red Cross, wow. They've been there. FEMA has been on the ground and very, very busy taking care of people from 36 hours after the event. They've been here and they're here for the long haul for recovery. So I encourage people go to the website for the right information. Accept no substitutes, accept no knock on the door going, hey, I can do this cheap. Mm-mm. There are unfortunately scammers out there trying to make a buck, and always stay with the tried and true, the local and the authoritative websites, and contact people so that what you need done, what our neighbors need done, is done right. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we're still doing COVID. That hasn't gone away. But in order to keep our numbers down, we have to still remain vigilant. So there's been a lot of wondering what's next, what do we need to do, and the basics still apply. And quite frankly, as we're going inside and the fall starts, oftentimes that's when colds and flus start kicking in. So we need to make sure that we are keeping our hands washed, keeping our face covering so we don't spread germs from coughing and sneezing, and keeping our space, keeping our distance. And this is going to be even more important as we're inside more. Outside's great, but like I said, first frost, that gets a little nippy. So let's be vigilant. Let's keep ourselves healthy. Let's keep our families and our communities healthy so that we can continue to thrive all winter long. I'm reminded also that we do have a measure on the ballot for the city of Keizer, and that is the new charter. It is a complete redo by a committee of 9 community members with the help of our city attorney to go through line by line to update our city charter, remove language that was discriminatory, even though it was not enforceable, and more importantly, to make sure it reflects a transparent way that we conduct government here in the city of Keizer for and with all of our community members. So the entire city council, all 7 of us, every council candidate, all 5 of them, and the Chamber of Commerce have all endorsed this ballot measure. It was comprehensive, it was thorough, it was done with an eye of equity and making sure that we are modern. Please vote yes on 24-453, the new home rule charter for the city of Keizer. Your support would be greatly appreciated. And with that, I'd like to turn it over now to Betty Hart with Keizer Fire. Again, this last couple of months added a new twist to our fire response, but tried and true, our firefighters are there when you need them. Good to see you, Betty.
Great. Good to see you too this morning, Kathy. I have to admit, 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning seems a little early to me, but that's just because I'm retired and don't usually have to be somewhere this early in the day. But I'm delighted to be here and delighted to be included in Coffee with Kathy and share information about the Keizer Fire District. And I echo your comments about the ballot measure 24-453. I certainly voted yes on that, and I encourage everyone to do so because it is important that our documents reflect our values. So that's really good. And of course, I'm delighted to be bragging about the Keizer Fire District and all of our wonderful staff and volunteers and the hard work that they have done over the last, well, several months actually, but the last few weeks since the Labor Day, but even before that, they had what they were called to some fires. But of course, when the fires went crazy in the canyon, they were there all over the place. We had some at command centers. Our public information officer was at one of the command centers to help with public information from the various activities that were going on. So that was really great, and I'm so proud of them all. So we have continued our emergency resolution, declare so that our station stays closed to keep our employees and staff and volunteers safe, so that someone doesn't come in carrying the virus without intending to, and we're doing it on a 30 days at a time basis, but we expect to continue that every 30 days until approximately 30 days after the kids have been in school. So that means, of course, there won't be a pancake breakfast this year in December, and I am so sad about that. Yes. But there is still a plan to do Candy Cane Day with Santa, but it is likely to be different than it's been done in the past. I think the thought now is to do a drive-through event rather than have the fire trucks go up and down the streets as they have done in the past. And I don't know, I can't imagine how tired some of the firefighters must be and how they're recovering. Well, I can say one thing, they're all younger than I am, so that's helpful. But in any case, it turned out that a couple of our firefighters who went up the canyon ended up doing 30 hours straight of trying to control the fire so that it didn't get further out of hand. They were just, of course, in one spot, and that's an incredible amount of time to be on the line. But we've had a couple of crews go to California. In fact, one just returned last weekend after a couple of weeks down there. We had firefighters not only up the canyon, but in Clackamas County. And I think we might have had some down in Southern Oregon at what time. I think there's 8 different wildfires that our crews have responded to. And not surprising, our overtime has been huge. I was surprised when I saw the amount, and my job is to give the financial report at the meetings. And it's like our overtime last month was something like 3 or 4 times the usual amount. The good news of that is, however, we do expect to be reimbursed for most of that overtime through the state, who probably gets some of that money from FEMA. And so it's a kind of complicated thing, but one of our staff division chief actually calculates the amount of overtime that we put in, and so submits a bill, if you will, for that, and for each fire. And we also get reimbursed for the equipment we take. So in addition to sending staff, they always take some equipment like a brush truck, a fire truck, or maybe a command vehicle or something anyway. And so we get reimbursed for that use as well. It's a little tricky to say say the least, and it'll take a long time before we get that money back, but that will be very helpful, of course. And so the Keizer taxpayers can be assured that even though we're out there doing a lot of work, they're not footing the whole bill for that. They're just still paying pretty much for the regular service that we provide. And speaking of which, our service numbers dropped down, of course, quite right after the COVID lockdown, if you will, or stay-at-home order came in, I think because people were afraid to go to the emergency room unless they were really in trouble. And but in the last couple of months, it appears that those numbers have ticked back up a little bit. So we're doing pretty much the same number of calls locally that we have done, say, this time last year. We were really pleased that we had just recently replaced a passenger vehicle. And so the old one was surplus. And it turned out, of course, that the Detroit Fire District had lost a passenger truck in the fire. So we were able to donate that to them. I'm so pleased about that. And also we are using the rest of our bond money that the voters approved in 2015 to replace some pretty old vehicles. And our staff is evaluating whether they could be donated to some of those smaller districts up the canyon if they have use for them and if they're in good enough shape to be used. So I'm really in support of that, and I hope that we are able to donate those and that they are able to use those pieces of equipment that we have, that we are surplusing. So, and I think that's pretty much what I have today. So I look forward to Coffee with Cathy in person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Betty. I really appreciate you and your service on the board and making sure that our emergency response is ready and able to operate in this COVID world that we're in. And thank you for the update on the Santa breakfast, sadness, and and Candy Cane Day, because we know we're going to get questions about that.
Yeah.
We did get good news that the Miracle of Christmas lights, which is drive-through, is scheduled to go as usual. I think how we
Awesome.
collect the canned food might be a little bit different. We'll figure out a way to do that safely. But it's one of the biggest fundraisers for the Marion Polk Food Share. The need has been great this year, and we want to make sure that we continue to not only celebrate the holiday season through the miracle of Christmas, but also to collect the canned foods and cash that is so important for our food bank.
Well, it is
Cathy, I wanted to share a quick story too about fire before we move to our transit update. So many people in Keizer were connected to that Detroit area. One of our counselors lost her house. Dave Wallery's cabin was connected. Scott White's RV was stored up there. I mean, it's such a next community to so many Keizerites that I feel like a bond in Keizer to that community. And there's so many people from Keizer who are reaching out in so many different ways. I'm helping with their meetings. We had over 5,000 people watch their city council meeting because we modeled how Keizer does it. And it's really great. There's another meeting on Tuesday. So you don't know these bonds until they're tested. And then on Tuesday, I do a radio program with Senator Roblin. We had the fire chief of Idanha on the radio program, and a story, and I don't know that everyone knows this, there were 30 firefighters and 30 citizens who were in a park told to shelter in place in Idanha. And they were told to stay there. And the Forest Service rolled in with trucks and said, sorry, you can't go down the valley. We know we told you to stay, but you are now surrounded by the fire on all sides. And so the Forest Service got 35 cars through the fires, and they said the trees were very precarious to fall across the roadway. It was a miracle that these 60 people got to government camp. Now look at a map. There is not a straight road between Detroit Lake and government camp, which is way north. It's just a wonderful story that shows that people work together under dire circumstances. This could have been a really big tragedy, greater than the couple lives we lost. And we want to honor those families, the families that own the park just out of Salem. Their grandson was one of the young people, and their grandmother who lost their life in the fire. But it's just a great story that I was excited to bring more awareness to, that as we kind of debrief after these fires, which we never thought Keizer was potentially told to potentially evacuate. But I think we're going to see more stories of human interest, of the goodness during this crazy year of 2020 of humanity and being there for each other. I just want to share that with everyone today.
Thank you, David. I think that's a very important story to share, how we are all taking care of each other, and that Keizer was ready to receive people the moment that the fires hit. It was, how do I help? How do I open up my place to receive people? How can I get supplies here? And Colleen, you and your church have been instrumental and continue to be very present with supplying people's not only physical needs, but emotional and spiritual support as well. So thank you for that. And Chariot's also had a tremendous story of bravery and service, which we appreciated. And the buses keep going and taking care of people. Way to go. Colleen.
Okay, thank you. I don't know where to start. So I'm sitting here in my little Zoom room and reflecting on all of this. I'm going to bring God in because he's the one who is in control. And we're, as a church body, we prayed about it, and I didn't have to pray very long, and we were smack dab in the middle of it. I want to give credit to Colleen Hansen and her inimitable, I think that's the word I want to use, fantastic organizational skills and connections, connecting with Lowe's and Home Depot, and story after story of people saying, we want to help. In fact, last Saturday, we've been going up there for 5 Saturdays, and we're going to go up there to Mill City at the subway until November 7th, 10 to 4. They're on their way up there today with 50 new, well, we got 50 more wheelbarrows, 500 rakes, 500 shovels, and other supplies. So we're taking most of what we can up there today, and the rest will get up there. But last week, a young lady from Amity on their volleyball team collected items for the Canyon residents. And she and her mom brought them up to us and joined us at the parking lot. Lowe's brought 500 cleaning buckets with scoops on them. They came up to the parking lot and shared with us. So we've helped over 100 families, and I'm the communications person. I can't remember the official titles of that, but my job is to inform people, when we're coming, what our time is, please get it out. And that has been a huge blessing to me. We've received several comments backwards of thank you. You guys are doing wonderful. We appreciate you. And that's what I want to tell our community too. Each person in our community is important. You are precious. You have a purpose in life. And just open your eyes and you will see that you can help somebody and be grateful for that help as well. So with that, another comment on there to tie in with our fire district and collaboration, we got a note on there that some people needed some smoke alarms and they weren't sure how to do that. So I said, well, I'll contact Chief Cowan and see what we could do to help initiate that program, because I know that in Keizer we install smoke alarms for folks who need them. And Cody, Betty will know who I'm talking about. He's the person who is working with that, and he connected with Lions Fire, and they said, we'll work out a program, we'll help them get those smoke alarms to people who need them. So that's cool collaboration. I also want to bring up our Keizer Times in our article in the paper yesterday. There's 2 articles, one about chariots and our bus drivers and how they've been coping and surviving and thriving in the middle of COVID. And again, there's an article about Keizer Fire District and their new standard operation of cleaning. After every call, they clean everything thoroughly. So now talk about chariots. We had a board meeting on Thursday, and we did have to stop service way back in April, but we are back up to 95% service in our most of our routes, especially Saturday, we're at 100% service. So check chariots.org for your route and how that's working. We had a board meeting Thursday, yes, and we made some decisions about Woodburn received a grant of $30,000 to help enforce their volunteer medical transportation program that'll provide eligible veterans with fare-free round-trip rides to their out-of-town medical appointments. So that was pretty exciting to say yes to. And we talked about doing business with chariots, and we heard a report on our disadvantaged business program and how you as a contractor or a small business can participate with chariots in our community in that regard. So you register on ORPIN. I don't know what it stands for.
It's the Oregon Procurement Information Network. And then for the small businesses that are eligible, they register on COBID, which is the Certification Office for Business Inclusion and Diversity.
Thank you very much, Mayor Clark. I knew you would tell me.
Well,
I have it all spread out.
It's part of my day job. So I do the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise DBE reporting for airports. So It's the same program, and it's a magnificent way to connect disadvantaged business, women-owned, minority-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses to contracting opportunities. And I applaud Chariots for really getting after it and being even more proactive.
We had a great update, and we are at 0.29%, which is for our district. And then our manager who told us about it, he compared us with the other districts in the area. So we are right on target with where we need to be and helping all of that. So speaking of women-owned businesses, we accepted and received our new board member on Thursday night. Let me try to get her name said right. Maria Hinojos Prese represents District 4, which is East Salem. So she joined us through the appointment process when our that position became vacant, which is you apply to the governor, and then the governor then goes through all of the applications, and then it goes to the Senate for approval. So that process is open now for three of the positions, 2, 4, and 6, and I am in District 4, and my term is scheduled to end June of next year. And then the other 2 are for Salem and, I don't know the other one. I'm sorry, but you can look up at the governor's office on their website for the volunteer applications, and then go through the appointment process, which will go through the Senate hearing during the long session in February. So get the applications in by before January 1st. So you have a window there to do that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was, our electric buses. We got that process going. But not only are we working on that, we want to be diverse in that area as well, so that we have choices for keeping our fleet running, so that our eggs aren't all in one basket. We are using diesel, we are using compressed natural gas, which is being switched over to renewable natural gas. And that began in December of 2019. And that is a fuel that comes from local organic materials like food, agricultural, and forestry waste that decompose. They produce methane. That methane is captured, conditioned to pipeline quality, and delivered through the existing natural gas infrastructure. So also in that process, we are now carbon negative, which means they take out more harmful greenhouse gases in the air than they emit. So it's a win-win for our community. It's all in the testing process as well as with the electric. So we're working on trying to keep all that together. And as far as closures, the administrative staff at Chariots has been working from home since March. And since the governor issued that, the continuation of that, we are still under, again, our state of emergency, as Director Hart talked about for the Keizer Fire District. We'll be continuing to work from home until the 21st. We are still fare free for our buses, enter through the back door, limited seating. I took a ride on Wednesday, and it's still very friendly. The bus driver is ready to help you if you need it. The buses are definitely clean, it's safe, and you get where you need to go, because we are connecting people with places. So, okay, Maria, something more about Maria, Director Prese. Professionally, she's the operations manager for Pineros, I can't say it, y Campesinos Unidos del Pacun is what it's known as. So I'm murdering the Spanish. I'm so sorry. It's an organization that advocates for Oregon farm workers and working Latinx families. And another tidbit on there, when she joined the board, President Davidson made a comment that this is the first time in Chariots history that the board of directors was female majority. So there's 4 females and 3 males. And he said, that's just never been done. he was applauding us. So, oh, wow, we're making history. I didn't even realize it myself. So the longest serving female director was Marcia Kelly. She served for 30 years. And Chariots is 41 years old. So she had a lot to do in the Chariots history. And I just hope that all of our work can be just as effective. So I think that's all.
Thank you so much, Colleen. And thank you all to the drivers for the work that they do to keep connecting people with places. And it looks like there's a question in the chat from, and this, I think this is an all skate from Carlos. It was asking, thank you. I was wondering what else we could do to support Keizer Fire District besides following the COVID-19 guidelines. I think I'm going to launch on this one. Getting everyone to be consistent with the COVID-19 guidelines is critical, and sharing that positively with neighbors, because there's still some uncertainty. Do we really need to do this? Is it still really being effective? And the answer is yes and yes. And by taking care of ourselves and our neighbors, we're making a huge difference in the community health for everybody in Keizer. It's also going to help our kids be able to get back to school in the building sooner. So on a community-wide level, your support and encouragement for people to follow guidelines, be healthy, be smart about gatherings, about how we do the holidays coming up. We can celebrate, just rethink it. And like we've been talking about the different events that are being reimagined in order to combine both health and safety and the celebrations that are important to our community. Betty, do you have anything to add?
Well, I want to echo what you said about working to keep ourselves healthy and sort of free of with our masks and distancing and staying home when we can. That will be really helpful to not only our firefighters but everybody else. And so that's really important, I think. So yeah, I agree with that, Cathy. And of course, it's important to keep not only the fire staff, but other first responders, the bus drivers, and all the other people who are on the front lines, your grocery clerks, etc., in your thoughts and prayers, so that they're able to stay safe, be safe, in spite of the fact that they are right there on the front line all the time.
One thing I might add too is we're coming up on the time change, which is usually a great outreach time for changing the batteries in our smoke detectors. And I think, again, being part of the solution, not part of the problem, is for us as we're coming inside, we're turning on our heating units and we're going to be inside more. Check your smoke detectors, make sure they work. Check all of your vents, make sure you don't have anything that got moved over or next to a heating element. So again, we don't create a problem, and we keep fire safe as well as health safe. So I think that's a really good outreach. We need to remember to remind people right now as we come inside for the winter season and are going to need to stay warm on frosty nights. And if they need a smoke detector, can they call the Keizer Fire District?
I'm not sure right now if they are helping people install. Of course, Cody Height does do that when he's able to do that. And I was hoping to have him come check mine and install some new ones. But unfortunately, it was just about the time when everything sort of closed down. So I'm not sure if he's back to doing that yet or not.
Okay, so check in with that, check the website or the Facebook page. Anne-Marie Storms does a fabulous job with that. And fire prevention, fire safety and preparedness are always ways that we can be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Check your emergency kits, make sure they're up to snuff for the winter in case of a power outage, a tree down, whatever might come this winter. We want to be part of the prepared group that is ready to help ourselves and our neighbors. So thanks for that question. That was a really good one. Thanks, Carlos. Well, we're coming up on our time, David. We're going to need to probably transition out. I think we had said about a half hour, but we've had a lot to share.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for everybody joining us today.
Just as we wrap up for next month, Cathy, have you thought with the holiday towards the end of the month, for our audiences, what's your plan for next month? Or stay tuned when we'll pick our coffee with Cathy during our Thanksgiving month.
I do have a date.
Mm,
There we go. Excuse my reach.
no worries.
So it will be November 21st. And I don't have a live location yet. I wasn't quite sure how things were going to shake out. So stay tuned for that on Facebook for the live event. But 9 o'clock on November 21st, we'll be back here with Coffee with Cathy Light and live and share what's going on. And hopefully we'll have more updates for the holidays and the New Year's.
All right. Well, and in closing, I think Dan Kohler, Cathy, said in our last council meeting, the places that you go on behalf of our city and the time you put in is probably would take 3 people to do. So if you're not told enough, thank you for all that you do as a brand ambassador for Keizer here and regionally. Those relationships regionally is what makes Keizer shine. So thank you very much. Tell Kevin thank you. He's, I'm sure, a single guy half the time cooking his own meals, but thank you for the sacrifices that you guys make for making Keizer a phenomenal city to be a part of. So we'll wrap this up. Thank you, everybody. Share our program with your friends on your Facebook page. Our audiences are, as today, we've got folks patching in and watching live on a Saturday morning to unite us. And so we will see you next month. Everybody take care and have a good month. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.